All right. So we're ready to go here. Melissa has us set up. I'm going to stay on with you. So if you,
Sure.
so you and I can banter a little bit back and forth. You and I have actually, I'll give a quick introduction. Derek and I have got to know each other over the last year. We've had a lot of messages. It seems like it's almost weekly that we've messaged each other almost for over the last year, which has been really cool to get to know.
It's really blossomed from being like a COVID friendship into something, much fuller than that. So
Yeah.
thanks for having me here, man.
Yeah, no, it's been really good. And I mean, outside of disc golf, we've got to share some old skateboarding stories where both former skateboarders and still like to talk about the good old days.
Oh yeah.
So that's really good. But yeah, for those of you who are tuning in, obviously Derek is, as you can see by the background that he has there, with Gatekeeper Media. And yeah, if you maybe want to talk to us about well, yeah, I'm sure you want to tell us about the 2021 season, because you got some pretty sweet news that you're going to be part of the DG Pro Tour, right? Which is pretty awesome. So maybe go ahead.
Yeah, last year was supposed to be our first full year touring, but we weren't assigned to any full tour other than the national tour. And then obviously COVID kind of screwed that up a little bit, but we did end up doing all but 3 of the Pro Tour events last year. So, it ended up, filling out pretty well. But this year we're all of the elite events for the Pro Tour, plus 2 of the Silver Series.
Nice.
We also have all the NTs. So the Silver Series are going to be Stafford, where we are MPO 1. And we have the Open at Belton in between Waco and Texas States. And we're doing FPO 1 there.
Cool.
Yeah,
that's
so
awesome.
We're really stoked to be able to, find a way to get FPO coverage under our schedule a little bit. So
yeah,
it's super exciting.
So I don't know if you're able to answer this question or want to choose to answer this question or not. Do you have a favorite event to film or a favorite course to film?
I'm going to be honest with you. I really like LVC.
Okay.
That's one of my favorites just because it's so grueling. It's like one of the hardest events probably to film because you start the season with 4 rounds. We have to shoot B-roll and prep 3 different courses and then edit together 3 different courses. So,
man.
So basically we have to build the graphics packages 3 times. We have to, create different things 3 times, where Innova's the only one that we, get to double up on. But, and then MVP and GMC is like the other stretch that is my favorite because those 2 courses are beautiful.
So can you maybe give, I'm going to say us, and I'm going to include myself and not necessarily everybody who's watching tonight or watching in post-production. Give us maybe a little bit of an understanding, because we see you out there, we see the videos on YouTube. But like you just sort of described a little bit, like we're like, oh, they played the first round of LVC, and then like we're already clicking like the next day being like, is it on YouTube yet? Is it on YouTube yet? Can you maybe like give us a little bit of like, talk to us about that, some of that background stuff, and like you're talking about how you have to do it, like explain to us what you're going through.
The biggest thing is like we are always very nervous about finding a good internet connection. That's like the number one worry on the road completely. Because like, you get generators that you can use to power your gear and things like that. So like in case of emergency and we're on our campsite or something, we can still charge something. But the internet, like cellular service, is not really ideal for uploading footage. So that's always something where we always find ourselves at like a Starbucks or an Apple store or somewhere that has like, known good Wi-Fi. But typically we shoot B-roll, and so we're landing Monday evening for LVC, and the tournament starts Thursday.
Okay.
So we typically have a full schedule of shooting B-roll, the supplemental content that everybody really likes, like our mic'd up rounds. Those have to be done before. And then any type of player bios or anything like that need to be a part of the coverage, or other things that we may have been contracted in the gig to do. So all of that has to take place the 2 days prior to the event.
Okay.
And day 1 typically our card, since we're chase card, goes out at 9:30 in the morning or 10, give or take, specifically so that our card is finishing right around the time that the live card is going to go off for the DGN broadcast.
Okay.
So it gives them an opportunity to send some live cameras on our card and finish out the chase card or second feature card leading into, round one.
Okay.
So, it's actually kind of cool because we're done earlier in the day and we can get a jump start on the editing. So the first night is usually the one where we get the most sleep. And then each night gets less and less sleep, where Chris does the graphics, I do all of the baseline editing, and then I'm also like the tour chef, so I make all of our meals in the parking lot of the hotels we're staying at or the campfire and campgrounds that we're staying at. So that's a big portion as well, is like not eating out all the time. Like we want to make sure that we're consuming things that are, advantageous to a nutritional balance.
Right. Yeah.
Because it's so easy to defer to the junk food and the easy thing where, you just feel like crap the day after. So it's like, it's not even worth it. I'd much rather take the time to cook a meal,
Yeah.
and get that clean energy.
So are you guys driving, like we see some of the players in, well, I mean, we see a whole variety of things, right? Like Ezra Adderhold just went from being in a converted Prius into like he's sharing now the big RV with Yuli, which is cool. Right. But how are you guys getting, because you guys are based in Philly area? Yeah.
And Philadelphia proper, we're in city limits.
Okay. So are you guys then driving out to Las Vegas and around?
No, we have to fly to this one because luckily we have one of the new additions to the team. His name's Mike. He operates another side channel called Family Man Disc Golf. He is a huge part and partner with Gatekeeper now. So he does a lot of behind the scenes things, but he's also on site and does things for us here and there when he can, find the time to travel. And then he covers local events for us too. So he's going to be with us for this gig because it's the start of the season. We wanted to like really, come out with a bang for this production. So we have the varsity team out.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so but you guys, like you said, you're doing you guys are on tour with a bunch of different events. Are you guys flying to all of those events, or is there...
So I was getting to that where we have to fly because he has like the timing issue where he needs to get back to his family. So we wanted to make sure that we could zip there, zip back, and then Chris and I also want to take advantage of that week off before we head to Texas so that we can spend time with our families as well.
Okay. And then while you guys are on tour, it's mostly flying for all the different events you go to during the season, or is there...
We're in the hunt for either an RV or a van now, because we are also in the process of onboarding a person to come out on the road with us full time starting at Jonesboro.
Cool.
That's not Mike. His name, the new addition, the fourth member now is Isaac.
Oh, cool. That's awesome. That's really awesome. So, talk to us a little bit. You briefly mentioned that, and again, this is conversations that maybe you and I have had offline, but talking about one of the things that I know I really appreciate about what Gatekeeper does is bring some of those like mic'd up rounds, or like you brought some of, like right now you have some of the classic rounds that I've been watching on YouTube, and I really appreciate some of those different pieces that you bring. Even some of the other rounds that I've seen that that I think that you guys have done differently than some of the other production companies is that you guys are connecting with local videographers and seeking to work with some local videographers. Can you maybe talk a little bit about that? And if there's people like this is through right now, this one's through the Calgary Disc Golf Club, but there's going to be people from across Canada that are watching this, maybe around the world, but definitely we've been getting like a few hundred views on our videos that we've been putting out in the month of February. So And we've been really working hard locally. We have people who are going to be taking photos of our courses and
That's great.
that kind of stuff. But maybe I'll talk to a little bit about some of those unique pieces that you guys have put together for Gatekeeper,
Sure.
and then the interest in maybe connecting with what people are doing locally.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm really into collaborating. Chris and I are both graduates of an art school, so University of the Arts here in Philly. That's a huge collaborative school. A lot of the focus is entrepreneurial skills and collaboration and multidisciplinary skills. So that, coupled with a lot of our heavy background in like critiquing work and stuff, we're constantly chiseling away at these large big picture things to help get everybody involved, because
Cool.
on a movie set, it takes a village,
Right.
where everybody has to focus on that task at hand so that the big picture can come together. So something that I really like doing is partnering with different smaller media companies, right now from all over the place, to include their footage in with ours and have them take advantage of a platform that we've grown, so that we can help drive traffic to other smaller media companies. Because we had a handful of people reach out to help us over the years, and it's important to really be willing to work together with people. And it's like there's such a large space where,
Yeah.
a lot of these smaller companies, they really only want to focus on what's going on in their area, right? So because a lot of them have jobs and other things, and they're hobbyists or what have you. But uh, it's always cool where the tour is constantly flowing all the way through the country. So linking up with various teams from those areas is a really fun way to have everyone kind of incorporated within the larger tour.
Cool.
Um, and then also, like, there's always like a need for like local coverage, because it gives a spotlight to the players that may not get on the main stage. So giving those videos a chance to be seen on a larger platform, I think is good to grow the player side of things too.
Awesome. So, you mentioned this just briefly, but so what I think one of the things you guys have been doing, it seems like, is connecting, like you said, with either players, like you did the round with Simon, where you had, I think it was a Maple Hill, where you had front nine on one channel and back nine on the other channel.
Yeah.
Is that something that you are doing with some of these smaller companies, like you'd mentioned, where you're going to use your platform to say, hey, watch the front nine on ours and then watch the back nine on theirs, kind of thing?
So
Or
it's the events and things that aren't necessarily, they don't cater to that, because it's a lot of like tournament coverage,
okay.
where the supplemental coverage more is in line with that kind of thing.
Okay.
So like, because the tournament coverage specifically is like, we're contracted by the Pro Tour or by the PDGA, so they're contracting for that piece to live on our platform.
Right.
So like we can't really share to that sense.
Okay.
But what we're doing and what I've been planning on doing, which I haven't even made a full announcement to this yet, but we're partnering with somebody in Europe, and we're trading event for event,
Cool.
and specifically so that their coverage has English commentary and our coverage has their languages commentary.
Wow, that's awesome, man. That's really cool. That's really
So
cool.
we're planning on like sharing the national tour and all 6 of those events in exchange for 6 events that they're doing. Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. That
So it's
is
like super exciting. I'm like really stoked to see how that turns out. And not only that, but because of COVID, we're not going to get a lot of the European players over in the States. So
right.
it's a really great way to have their coverage still hitting the audience that misses them,
Right. So you mentioned COVID. The sport of disc golf has absolutely exploded.
Oh yeah.
How has that impacted you guys? Like, how kind of impact has that had for you?
It let us keep a job during
Mm,
a very uncertain time where a lot of folks were not as fortunate. So, you know, I'm very grateful for that. It's still weird to kind of wrap my head around because um, it is the thing to do now, it seems, where
Mm,
like more courses are being overrun, and I don't mean overrun as like a bad
right.
sense,
Yeah.
but they're being crowded, just
Right.
packed in. Now we're starting to see that maybe parks and rec departments are going to realize that we need more courses.
Right.
And I think having more courses means more opportunity to have more content, because like our social media aspect of stuff, we curate a lot of you know, just fans content, and we have people sending us clips all the time. So
Right.
if you have cool video clips of you or your friends playing, send them on over to us. We always love sharing everybody's clips. But what I'm saying is more players, more courses, more cool content. You know,
Right.
I just think we have more of an opportunity to see like really manicured cool courses, and more opportunity to see, you know, the joy and excitement from people playing and hitting that line or getting that ace or something like that. So I think, you know, it's all growth for the good. But it keeps things busy, that's for sure.
So on that note, that sort of cool content that you want from locals, is that like, are you specifically looking for aces, or like what kind of content? So we have people watching right now and they're
Sure.
like, oh man, I can submit content to
Mhm.
Gatekeeper. What kind of content are you looking for when you're looking to do some of that stuff?
I mean, we view everything for the most part. So if you think it's a cool clip and you'd like to see it, you know, take the main stage, so to speak, you know, we give full credit and tag the profile and everything. So, and even I've even started seeing a growth from my personal Instagram when we shared like that mini ace video that I had at the Tiki course.
Okay.
And like I saw like 10 subscribers pop up in 12 hours, and I hadn't even posted in weeks. So
Right.
it's like, you know, I'm seeing, you know, these like little spikes, which is super cool. So I mean, really, like aces are always good, right? Who doesn't like watching a cool ace? But like air bounce videos, like where you're like, I can't believe that bounced 5 times before it decided to fade back,
Right.
um or disc golf fails, or funny videos, or really anything that you think that it's like, oh, I have a clip that I think people are going to find awesome.
Okay.
Send that to us, because like everybody has something that they've captured, you know,
Cool.
something that you and your friends laugh about, or that you got real jazzed about, or even some like wildlife that you find on the course, you know, like
Okay.
the first tournament we ever covered, we found deer all over the place, like during the round. It was super cool.
Okay. It just had Melissa, who's one of the admins and hosting for this group. She just said, I'll send you a whole bunch of disc golf fails. So cool. So to kind of expand on that a little bit further and to touch base on one of the other pieces that you'd mentioned, if somebody was looking locally to maybe film a league night or to film a tournament,
Uh-huh.
what do you suggest? Maybe, I don't know, you can either suggest from like a gear perspective, or like how can somebody do it like on maybe a lower budget, and if they wanted to upgrade to a higher budget, like maybe start off like, if I can't afford a drone, what could I do? Or if I do have a drone,
Sure.
or if I just have like 2 standstill cameras, or so, if you can maybe give a little bit of insight into how people could maybe get started into
Sure.
some of that, that'd be
Well,
awesome.
so for first things first is that like everybody has access to something that you can create with, right? And that's our phones. Phones shoot amazing content nowadays. Like the picture quality on them is fantastic. And I
Right.
challenged myself, you know, years ago to shoot an entire 18-hole round with just my iPhone.
Come on.
And then I edited the whole thing on an iPad. And it's a full front nine, back nine. Each video is about a half hour long, and it's a full round of coverage. So don't let that whole like, oh, I don't have
Okay.
the right camera or whatever, because like it's possible to do it. It may not look the best, but it's going to allow you to learn and get the concepts down.
Cool.
And let's say like you do one or two and you're like, yeah, this isn't really for me. Well, now you're not out anything. You know,
Right.
you tried it, and then now you also have the opportunity of catching the bug and then kind of manage your growth, which is
Right.
what we did. I mean, we only upgraded gear when we had the money to. And at the beginning, we didn't get paid. So we had to really be smart about what gear we bought.
Right.
And essentially, we bought things to leapfrog so that like one
Okay.
camera got upgraded before the other. And so prioritizing certain camera purchases over the others and things like that. But also, like you said specifically, you can't afford a drone. I mean, DJI has like that Mavic Mini that is pretty cost effective. But
Okay.
even if that's out of your range, you can get the DJI mobile phone gimbal.
Okay.
And if you put your phone on it, usually they have a thing where you can attach a monopod to the bottom of it.
Yeah.
And if you use the time lapse feature on your phone and walk through the hole, it will fake a drone shot.
Really? Okay. That's good to
Yeah,
know.
our
That's
most our most recent Philly Open coverage, we did that.
really,
Mhm.
that's pro tip right there. That's awesome,
Yeah.
man. That's really cool. And then
And and
go ahead.
so with it being and you should definitely do it in like 4K if you can, because
Okay.
that gives you a larger image to stabilize. Because when you stabilize an image, you have to blow it up. You have to expand on it so that
Okay.
the effect has room to move.
Okay.
So 4K allows it to keep its crispness, even though you're kind of blowing up the picture a little.
Okay. So one thing that I've always wondered, maybe it's an easy answer, but like I've done a little bit of like, oh, my buddies, I mean, we were playing a course in Wisconsin. We were playing, the course is called Eagles Peaks. It's part of one of the courses for the LSO, the Lake Superior Open.
Mhm.
I think it's like hole 15 or something. You're standing, it's because Eagles Peak is a ski hill, and you stand at the top of the ski
Okay.
hill and you literally like throw like down the entire ski hill. And I'm like, oh, this
Sounds
is going
cool.
to be epic. And so I pull up my phone and try to video, and within 1 second, I couldn't find where the disc was. How hard is it
Yeah.
to follow a disc off the tee? Like you guys do a
Um,
phenomenal job, but like, is it easier than it looks? Harder than it looks?
um, It really depends on like your light conditions, to be
Okay.
honest, where there's like sometimes where, and there's certain players where I can actually tell what they're about to throw based off of the disc that I see in their hand and then the stance that they start on the tee box.
Okay.
So like just kind of learning the players helps where if I'm aware of like what kind of shot it is, then I can get a better understanding. And you also have to have an understanding of like the lines that a lot of players are going to take, so that a
Okay.
lot of your work is you anticipating a shot rather than you scrambling to keep up with the shot. So a
Okay.
lot of it is like, I think really it's like at a certain point you either have it or you don't have it in
Okay.
terms of the ability to follow the disc like precisely, but everybody has the ability to make something that's watchable. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
you can cut, if you have two cameras, you can cut from one to the other to fill in the gap where the one camera loses it, then you cut to the other one where it's in frame.
Okay.
So, using more cameras is a better way around that.
Okay. And I guess obviously to film it then is taking the same time as just to play it, but then you're basically doubling that time up for editing purposes, I'm assuming, or
Yeah, so I would say just the baseline edit takes just as long as it does to film,
okay.
roughly.
Okay.
And then the graphics take about that long. And then it's a couple hours still to piece everything together post commentary.
Okay.
And then it takes an hour and some change to upload.
How,
Um,
so on
yeah.
that piece, how is it giving commentary when you already know what's going to, like, oh, he didn't make that putt, but you know that he didn't make that putt, right? Like,
Our commentators don't know
oh,
because
okay.
they're typically not on the card, and we don't
Oh,
have them watch it before they do the commentary.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
awesome.
we give them an edited down piece that they can dub over, which shout out to Brian Earhart. He's going to be our consistent commentary for the season.
Cool.
He does a really good job of running the recording himself, actually. So he'll have the player meet him. he does all the recording and he sends it back to us. And then, so we can do that as like a remote sort of thing,
Okay.
which helps greatly with scheduling. Because if you have to like meet somebody at 8 a.m. and then they might have to tee off at 10 or something like that, it just gives more flexibility for the scheduling.
Cool. So we only have a couple minutes left here. Is there, what kind of disc golf related or non-disc golf related kind of stuff would you want to share with people? Either maybe something that you're most excited about for the season. I know, like you mentioned, Las Vegas is coming up. You said that's one of your favorites to play or favorites to film. Is there something you're really looking forward to this season, or even like if you wanted to share with us like a hidden gem, like your favorite course or something like that, just as a lot of people before we go?
So a hidden gem is like, so we do a lot of camping in between events to save money and things like that. So we typically have like a tent and a pop-up and things like that along with us. So hidden gem is there's a campground called Hoosier Land in Indiana, like right smack dab in the middle of Indiana. That was just such a fun experience to camp at, where across the street was a pasture of cows. And like I got to the point where like I'd wake up in the morning and I could pet the cows. It was super cool. So those little things are highlights of the tour. So I'm really looking forward to those in-betweens, because obviously like everybody knows that the tournaments are going to be fun and enjoyable, but they're also a lot of work. So those in-betweens are really a great way to kind of unwind and get ready mentally for the next one. But yeah, I would say that, and like exploring new courses. I'd like to have my course number played a little higher this year.
What are you at right now? Do you track them all on UDisc or?
I haven't been for a long time, so I know that I'm missing like a ton. But I think on my UDisc I'm like over 40 maybe now.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's small in comparison to what you have, man. But you know,
I was living in a van for a year, traveling around. So, but yeah, no, favorite course. What's your, I get asked this question all the time, because like you said, I traveled around and tried to make an attempt at the Guinness World Record there.
Yeah.
And so people always ask me, what's your favorite course? And like, I've played courses like Blue Ribbon Pines, and like I played a bunch of the courses down in Emporia and that. And so people I think are expecting that those be some of the answers that I would give. Like, what's your favorite course of all time? Similar to yourself, though, my answer has always been like, I played this really sort of ho-hum course when I was in France with my wife, and just the two of us on the course. But the course is really nice. It had a nice little putting area, had a driving range, short and long tee pads, good signage, had a couple of unique holes that I'd never seen before. I actually was a basket down in a pit. Like when the hole was only 100, like 100. It was like, oh man, it was only like probably 140 feet, and I'm standing on the tee box, and I'm like, I can't see the basket, and the sign's telling me it's 140 feet. And I'm like, this can't be right. I should be able to see it right there. I walk down the fairway, and then all of a sudden just drops, and there's it's at the bottom of this.
That's so fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's, for me, was my favorite course. Not that it was the most challenging I've ever played or anything, but what's your favorite course?
I have two when people ask me this.
Okay.
One is honestly like a local course to me, but Stafford Woods in New Jersey is one of the best kept courses, like maintained. The group there does a really good job of making something that is really worth playing. And it's also a very challenging course. The short and long tee pads are both a blast to play.
Cool.
Then my other would be just for like an entirely different experience would be the Johnny Roberts course in like outside of Denver in Colorado.
Okay.
It is essentially just a pitch and putt course where if you shouldn't be throwing a driver on anything there. But the last time we were in town for the 303 Open in 2019, we played that course 7 times in a row.
Nice. That's see, yeah. There's
it was a blast. We played 4 rounds, went and ate lunch, came back and played 2 more. Like it was so fun.
There's a course that I played like that this past summer. There was myself and two guys. We went on a little mini road trip for like 4 or 5 days, and there's a course in Cranbrook, British Columbia, that is same thing. You take just a putter with you. That's the only disc you need for the entire course. Everything is a standstill off the tee. Everything's an ace run.
Yeah.
I kid you not, we probably played that course 6 times in like just back to back to back to back. It's got 18 holes, and we just play them. And 3 of those rounds were in complete and utter darkness. We were just playing with glow discs, and we're like, this course is so much fun, and we're like, we just want to keep playing it, right? So I understand.
I'm looking forward to playing North Vegas. It's the lit up course. They where you could just play there all night. So our intention is to drive there right when we land at 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
And play fresh off the plane, and film a vlog for our channel. Definitely keep your eye out for that video, because
For sure.
it should be really funny. And it's like a gimmicky, like Chris versus me video, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
Cool. Sweet, man. I appreciate your time today. We'll let you get back to this. But yeah, I really appreciate, if you wanted to maybe just stay on the call for a couple minute or two afterwards, I'll stop recording here.
Yeah.
But Derek from Gatekeeper Media, thanks for your time tonight. Thanks for all the insights and the stuff that you shared about disc golf from a perspective that we maybe don't get to hear a lot about or see behind the scenes a little bit from. So I really appreciate that. Thanks a lot, Derek.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, and I had a lot of fun.
Thanks, man.